This weekend, we got UFC 228 in Dallas, 2 titles on the line. Darren Till versus Tyron Woodley for the first one, and Nico Montano versus Valentina Shevchenko for the other one. Both awesome fights. There's a crazy main card, and the FX card could be its own Fox Sports 1 card on any other day. So this is an amazing card, not gonna wanna miss it. I'm gonna start breaking these down, play highlights, give my picks and predictions from top to bottom. So let's get started. First, at the bottom, we got Jeff Neal versus Frank Camacho. Jeff, the hands of steel, Neal, I think is gonna take this one. He came off the Contender Series earlier this year, and or early last year, season 1 winner, and he's got great jiu-jitsu. You know, he pulled off a bulldog choke on Brian Kamazi. So, you know, he's got good jiu-jitsu, great ground game, a great clinch, and he just slings leather. He hits so hard. So, Frank Camacho, you know, he's a heavy hitter too, but I think Jeff Neal's gonna be able to grind this one out, and I think somehow find a submission. Frank Camacho's got great judo, great jiu-jitsu, great wrestling. I just think Jeff Neal's gonna be able to put this one out. We got the young gun. A lot of these guys from the Contender Series have really impressed me, so I'm gonna go with Jeff Neal on that one against Frank Camacho. Roberto Sanchez versus Jared Brooks. Jared Brooks stepping in last minute. Jared Brooks was the guy who, a couple cards ago, tried to slam Jose Torres on his back and ended up knocking himself out, doing like the weird back fall throw thing. Roberto Sanchez from Houston, Texas, from here, represent. I want to root for Roberto Sanchez, but Jared Brooks, I think, is going to be too much. He's 13-2, and I think he's going to be looking to redeem himself from that last win, or that last loss rather. That knocking himself out, that was kind of embarrassing. I'm not saying he should be embarrassed. It's just, you knocked yourself out. So he's really gonna be looking to redeem himself on this one. And not only do you have great striking, he's fast, moves in and out, he's really, really well-rounded. He's also an awesome wrestler, really, really good wrestler, and was dominating Jose Torres till he knocked himself out. So I'm gonna go with Jared Brooks on this one by probably a decision. Next up, Irina Aldana versus Lucy Pudilova. I'm gonna go with Irina Aldana on this one just because I know her a little more and I've seen more of her fights. She actually has more KOs and knockouts than Pudilova. She hits harder, and is a better striker. So I'm gonna end up going with Irina Aldana on this one. Next up, old vet Jim Miller versus Alex White, the Spartan. I'm gonna go with Alex White on this one. I'm gonna think, you know, younger guy, changing of the guard. Jim Miller is great. I'm gonna go with the younger guy, Alex White, on this one. Next up, Diego Sanchez versus Craig White. Diego Sanchez, we all know, old vet. I never want to root against Diego Sanchez, but losing his last 4 or 5, I don't know whether or not they're trying to give him an easy opponent in Craig White just because he's not as experienced in the UFC, or if they're trying to somehow boost Craig White, hoping that he beats Diego Sanchez, a name in the UFC. I don't know which way the UFC is hoping to go on this one. I'm gonna pick Craig White just because I'm gonna go with the young guns. I'm gonna go with the younger guy. And in all of MMA, there's just something about the changing of the guard, getting the newer, younger guys in there who are hungry. So I'm gonna go with Craig White he has 0 decisions. I'm gonna go by knockout. Yeah, Craig White by knockout. On the FX card, we got Charles Byrd, Kid Dynamite versus Darren Stewart. I don't know a lot about Darren Stewart. He's 8-3, and just from watching that Eric Spicely fight, I know he leans really heavy on that front leg and is a straight boxer that hits really, really hard. So there's stuff to watch out for. But Charles Byrd, coming from the Contender Series, I think he's gonna obviously try to take down Darren Stewart and work his wrestling and jiu-jitsu game. I'm gonna go with Charles Byrd by submission. Next up, Jimmy Rivera versus John Dodson. Jimmy Rivera is a killer, and until Marlon Moraes came out of nowhere and knocked him out, Jimmy Rivera was on a 21 fight win streak. He's won 21 fights in a row until Marlon Moraes had that crazy KO knockout head kick. I think he's really gonna be looking to come back, kind of like Jared Brooks, looking to come back, and not to say he's embarrassed about that loss, but he did lose and get knocked out pretty quickly. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he bounces back against someone who's not as dangerous, I don't think, John Dodson, but who's the fastest man alive, who moves in and out, has a flurry of punches. But Jimmy Rivera has killer wrestling, really good striking, and look at the guys that he's beaten. You know, he beat Thomas Almeida, Uriah Faber, Yuri Alcantara, Pedro Munoz. None of those guys super top tier. Uriah Faber, but he was I think that was Uriah's last fight. So none of them as high a level fighter. Obviously Marlon Rice, but he lost against. But none of them as high a level as John Dodson. So this is gonna be a good test for him to see how he does with the rest of the division. But I'm gonna go with Jimmy Rivera. But man, this is gonna be a good fight. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Rivera. I think he's gonna get a decision. John Dodson's so hard to hit. I don't think you're knocking him out. I don't think you're gonna submit him. But Jimmy Rivera may be able to wrestle him, hold him down, and grind out that decision. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jimmy Rivera on this one. Next up, Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann. Aljamain Sterling has slick jiu-jitsu. So I'm gonna end up going with Aljamain Sterling by decision. He's just too high a level, I think, for Cody Stamann at this point. Stamann's gotten decisions against his last couple guys, and they were close, and they were both against kind of lower tier guys. I don't see him beating Aljamain Sterling. No way. So Aljamain Sterling by submission. Next up, Carla Esparza versus Tatiana Suarez. Look out for Tatiana Suarez. I know she's only ranked number 9, but she is a beast. She's 7-0. Now I know Carla Esparza was a former champion, great fighter. 14-5, very experienced. But Tatiana Suarez, look out. She is the next biggest thing in women's MMA. She, in 2011, was ranked the #1 women's wrestler in the United States. She has 2 bronze medals, World Championship Freestyle Wrestling. She's probably the best wrestler in women's MMA, period, all around. The best wrestler there is. She's 7-0 in the UFC, undefeated. She's like the Khabib of the women's division. Just destroys these other girls. She has perfect takedowns, great top pressure, and she's been training her jiu-jitsu, so has a ton of submissions now. So I'm gonna end up going with Tatiana Suarez by submission. She's a monster, look out for her. Next up, to start the main card, an exciting matchup. You got Nico the Hybrid Price, 12-1, great prospect. He has that one hiccup a couple fights ago, but he had, the last fight was that crazy knockout of Randy Brown where he hammer fisted him while he was like laying on the ground. Weird knockout. But Nico Price is super well-rounded, can do everything. He's smart, he's creative, he uses kicks, punches, knees, elbows, submissions, wrestling. He's got it all. Problem I have with Nico Price's fighting is he's a slow starter. So if you can capitalize on that early and take advantage of him, you can hurt him. He can get hit doing all that crazy creative stuff. And Abdul Razak Al Hassan has a crazy fast overhand right that hits hard, has a 100% knockout rate. He has knocked out all of his opponents. But something that you don't see is he's an Olympic level judoka. He knows judo better than probably anyone else in that division and has great trips and submission, but it's like he came into the MMA and found out that he's got a super overhand right that can put out anybody, and just was like, why do I need to do my judo anymore? Why do I need it? Al Hassan has that tool where he has that overhand right that can knock out anybody. That's always there. But he also has that judo that he can rely on when he's in trouble to be able to throw people down. And I'm worried Nico might be a little much for him. He's experienced, 12-1. He's creative, and like I said, can do everything. While Al Hassan's a newer, younger fighter who's a little bit more one-dimensional, I'd say, just because all he's been using is his striking and that overhand right. But he does have that judo background that I think people are sleeping on. So I'm gonna go with Al Hassan on this one. Next up, you got Jessica Andrade versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Karolina is an amazing striker, really great technical kickboxer, and actually has a win over the champion, Rose. So she has a chance. She's ranked number 4 for a reason. She's really good, and she's so calm in the octagon. Even before you see her leaning against the cage, she's so calm. But I think Andrade might be too good of a grappler for her. We saw Claudia be able to take down Karolina. I think Jessica Andrade will easily be able to take down Karolina and probably dominate the fight. You watch the last people she's fought, she has high output. She's not a great striker, like in a traditional sense. She's not like super technical and not super straight punches all the time. She's not using knees, combos, and kicks and all kinds of different things like a lot of her other opponents do. But what she is good at, bulldogging forward, taking and picking people up and tossing them back to the ground. She's short, that low center of gravity, I feel like maybe even better for her as a wrestler. So I think Andrade is going to be able to get the decision on Carolina. I think so. Next up is Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Brandon Davis. I'm so sorry, Brandon Davis, but this is not going to be fun. Zabit is a monster. He is so well-rounded. Zabit is a high-level striker. He's got kicks, he's got punches, he's got elbows, he's creative. He did a Anthony Pettis kick, a Showtime kick, just to show off. And a lot of his fights before now have just been showing off what he can do, showing off skill, showing off talent, showing off what he can do, trying to get that name, make himself a bigger name so he can make his way through the rankings. He's 15-1, only one loss early in his career, and I don't see him losing ever. I mean, not for a long time. Zabit, I'm on that Zabit hype train. Some of his best attributes are how calm he is while overwhelming his opponents with high output and a variety of strikes. He's using punches, knees, kicks, elbows, takedown attempts, submission attempts, just to get you thinking about, oh no, what's he gonna do? And it scares his opponent, confuses them, and gets them to make a wrong decision. And when they do make that wrong decision, when they slip up, that's when he capitalizes. And Zabit's just kind of been playing with his opponents, I think, just showing off what he can do, testing his skill in the octagon, and something that's kind of important, getting that octagon time, getting that time and that experience in the ring so you can sort of prove yourself, find out how far you can go, make sure you can go all 3 rounds, be able to deal with all the different threats, deal with all the different things you might see in the octagon. I think that's a lot better than having like 21-second knockouts. You know, having that experience, being able to know that you can still wrestle at the end of round 3 or still have a knockout kick at the end of round 3. That experience is really good. So I obviously got Zabit. Zabit's gonna, I think, maul Brandon Davis. So Brandon, this is your chance to show the world that you can really do something special. So I got Zabit by decision. And the first of the 2 title fights from this weekend, Valentina Shevchenko will be taking on the champion, Nico Montano. Nico, everybody's been saying it, you had a nice run while it lasted, but she's just, I think, not experienced enough to handle Valentina Shevchenko. Nico is a great fighter. She proved it in the Ultimate Fighter house, but she's fighting girls in the tough house. She's fighting people from the Ultimate Fighter. She's not fighting real, tested veterans in the UFC, and Valentina Shevchenko definitely has. Valentina has beaten Holly Holm. She's gone to a split decision with the 135-pound champ, Amanda Nunes. She easily could be the 135-pound champion, but she moved down to 125, which is a much better division for her, and I think this is going to be her division for a long time, unless Cyborg somehow can make 125. I don't know who can beat her. So obviously Valentina Shevchenko by decision. And the second title fight of the night is Darren Till gonna try to take on the champion, Tyron Woodley. I'm so torn in the middle in this matchup. I'm a big Darren Till fan, and I have been for a while, but I kept feeling in his last few fights that this was too early for him, and I sort of have that feeling now. I love Till's confidence. He's a great Muay Thai striker, traditional Muay Thai. He has heavy pressure, and he uses those kicks to soften up his opponent. So what are Woodley's keys to victory? Woodley is defensive, he's patient, and he sticks to a game plan. He backs up towards the fence, he doesn't really get hit much, he rolls the punches, and then he lands giant overhand rights, rushes his opponents forward with combos, big overhand rights, left, right, pushes his opponent back to the cage. That's how he knocks people out. Then he moves backwards, moves back, doesn't get hit, stays defensive. He moves back against the cage, and then explodes forward again. So what Till's gonna have to do is look out for those explosions and hopefully not get hit. I'm gonna go with Darren Till. I like his confidence, that Conor McGregor type energy, that he believes he's the champion, that he's the greatest fighter in the world. And he's giant for this division. He fights differently than Woodley's last few opponents. He pushes forward and uses that pressure, and more importantly, he isn't scared of Woodley. He's not scared of that overhand right. He's not scared of him. I mean, he's got that crazy confidence, and I think that can take people way further than a lot of people think. So I'm picking Darren Till by decision. Darren Till by decision. I'm afraid if this goes to a decision though, if this goes all 5 rounds, that's Woodley's fight. We don't know how Till will last in the fourth and fifth round, especially with that crazy weight cut that he's doing right now. He should be up a weight class. So I don't know, there's so many unknowns, there's so many things that we don't know. How is Till's takedown defense? How is Till's jiu-jitsu? Is Woodley gonna wrestle? Is Woodley just gonna be defensive and bank on that overhand right? There's so many questions in this fight, but we will get answers this weekend. UFC 228 in Dallas. This is a killer card. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. Please like and subscribe to my channel, like the video, share, show your friends, comment, tell me who you think's gonna win, and watch out for my video next week. Thanks, guys.